Hi, and welcome to the third little talk about well-being, I suppose. Is what it's really about. In simple terms, a third little talk about feeling good and how to just live inside your head and your body in a way where you feel better. So I remember I said in the first video just about that this is all about self-regulation. It's about that humans, every human, especially in modern technological environments, our body and the older brain, they will stress up too much. They'll react to things too much. Like, for example, when you go on social media, you will be stressed. It causes stress in the system. The reason being that the older part of our brain is really concerned about inclusion and exclusion in friendship groups. Because thousands and thousands of years ago, when our ancestors were out in prehistoric times, they had to belong to a group or else they died. You couldn't hunt, you couldn't feed without being in the group. So there's a part of your brain which is obsessed with being included and excluded in friendship groups. Way too much, by the way. So when you go on social media, where you get to compare yourself with everybody else, and usually we come out very unfavorably, everybody else seems better than us, the brain stresses up because it thinks that we're going to be excluded. It's mad. It sounds a bit crazy, but that's what happens. So what I'm trying to teach you, what we're trying to teach you is that we have to take care of the mind and body, because it very quickly it gets out of kilter. It goes off balance. And so we have to mind it and help it. And this is what this is about. So let's talk about living inside in your head and all the worries, and the thinking brain, the thinking mind, and that feeling when you're just thinking, and you can't stop yourself thinking, and you're driving yourself mad by your own thinking. So what do you do? Is there any little techniques that we can learn to help us to cope with that, to regulate that? So one of them is actually being in nature. That's why I'm doing these videos here out in the Parable Garden in the woods. I discovered this because when I used to come here quite stressed myself, half an hour in the woods, and after half an hour I felt really good, and I knew there was something going on. I researched it, and what happens in nature is, first of all, it's our natural home. That older part of our brain, which stresses up very quickly, it has been living out in nature for thousands upon thousands of years. It's only now getting used to towns and cities. It actually feels more relaxed out here. So the older part of your brain actually just calms down when it's out in the woods and out in nature. There's another thing that nature does, which has been kind of scientifically proven, but if you're working out exams or you're working out homework, and you're thinking really intently, focused on something, there's a part of your brain system called the executive network. And the executive network is the network part of our brain that's really concentrates. And it's up here in your frontal lobes, right there. And that's why when you're really tired from studying, you actually feel yourself sore and stressed up here. And when we're not using the executive function, the brain goes into a default function. And that's when you just ruminate and daydream and just thinking, which is grand if you're on holidays or you've won the lottery. But for a lot of us, when we just daydream and start to think and ruminate, we can often start just worrying. We just start to worry and ruminate. So that the human is caught between this executive function up here at the front, which is focused, thinking, working stuff out. Or then there's the ruminating, daydreaming, but maybe just worrying and brooding over stuff. So we get caught between those two places. What nature does, somehow, there's this middle place, and it's called attention restoration therapy, ART. And basically, when you're in nature, you're kind of paying attention. So you're sort of in your executive function, but you're not really paying attention. You're also kind of daydreaming, but it's a little place between both areas. It's called that soft zone. So when you go out in nature, sometimes you can just you'll feel like you get a break from the parts of your brain that just tire you out. So one way is going out in nature. I'd suggest you go on your own. Don't bring a friend who's going to start telling you all their troubles and worries. And definitively switch off your phone, because that's a stressor. The second thing we can do to help our brains and our minds when we're worrying and overthinking, brooding, all that stuff. Another thing is mindfulness. And mindfulness is just kind of being in the moment. When we're out in nature, quite often when we're in nature, we're kind of in mindfulness. Mindfulness is just you're in the moment, you're just looking around you, because a lot of our worry and stresses and strains, it comes from either thinking about the past and past mistakes and brooding about that. The older brain loves brooding on past mistakes because it thinks, oh, I've made a mistake, now people aren't going to like me. I want to worry about that. I want to think about that to make sure it doesn't happen again. So mindfulness, you're kind of regulating the brain from brooding about the past. And then when we're in the future, that's where all the things that can go wrong will happen out there in the future. And we can think about a million things that can go wrong. Did you ever think about all the things that could go wrong? How much time of your life have you spent thinking about things that could have went wrong that didn't go wrong? And that feels like a waste of time, thinking about the future and all the things that could go wrong. So mindfulness is just being in the moment and giving your brain a rest from brooding about the past, worrying about the future. Just mindful. And this little technique, I'm just going to teach you in this last little part of the talk. The other little technique we can do is a thing called grounding. You may have heard of grounding. In actual fact, if you take off your shoes and your socks and you walk on the earth, that's physical grounding. It's really, really good for you because the electrical charge in our body gets kind of out of kilter as well. And the earth actually, it balances the electrical charge in our body, which is amazing. That's called grounding. But there's also a little technique of grounding where we try and balance what's going on in our head with the earth itself. So, do you know when you're going through the day and you're just thinking so much and you're worrying and all the thoughts in your head? So you're up here in your head the whole time, right? But the human body our entire system is not just the mind and head. There's an entire body here as well. So grounding means creating a balance between what's going on with the head and just being grounded with the earth. And that's a technique. To ground yourself means to get out of your head for a while and all those thoughts about the past or the future and giving yourself a rest. So we're just going to teach this little technique now, if you'd like to do it. And again, if you can get a comfortable position where you'll be able to close your eyes, we'll just do this little grounding. It's kind of a little meditation, I suppose, but it's just a little visualization. So if you just close your eyes, comfortable position, and again, just become aware of the sounds that are in your room. And then if you're doing this yourself, you can do this much slower than I'm going to do it. But in the last talk, I taught you about body scans. So we're just going to do a brief body scan. And then if you just follow my voice. So just starting again with the crown of your head, allowing it to relax. Moving down through your face, your eyes, and your ears, and your mouth. So just giving the body permission to rest and relax again down to your throat. Your shoulders, just becoming aware of any feelings and stresses, strains going down to your arms. Giving your body permission to rest and relax and feel safe. Down through the back. Become aware of your breathing. And you'll notice when the body begins to relax and feel safe and rest, the breathing just gets deeper. When we're stressed up, the breathing is very shallow and very quick. But when we're nice and relaxed, like out here in nature, it's just nice and deeper. Move down to the stomach area, hips, your upper legs, knees and lower legs, your feet. And I just want you to become really aware now of your feet and the soles of your feet and the part of your body which is now in contact with the earth. So if you're sitting or if you're lying down or standing, and you can do these little techniques, you can listen to them out walking through the woods. I want you to become aware of the part of your foot that's in contact with the earth. And there's an electromagnetic field which kind of surrounds our body by around 3 feet. So there's a part of our energetic system that actually goes down into the earth. And I want you now just to imagine it might seem strange, but I want you just to imagine like these small little roots coming out of your feet and just going down into the earth. So it's part of your energetic system. So just imagine little roots coming out of your feet and toes and going down into the soil of the earth. Or if you're in a house, the roots can go across the floor and find little crevices in the walls and move the way down through the foundations until they get to the soil of the earth. If you remember the last time your hands were in soil, what was it like? The cool soil of the earth. But just imagine now that a part of you is going down into the earth, into the soil. And you may feel that the earth, you may have a particular relationship with the earth, Mother Earth. You may feel very supported by the earth. You may feel very passionate about the earth and about caring for the earth. But right now the earth's going to take care of you. And just follow those roots down into the earth. And what you'll notice down in the earth is that it's very quiet. It's very still. And the soil and clay of the earth is full of nutrients and minerals. And the roots, your energetic roots, are going to absorb all these little minerals. Is going to be nourished by the quiet, still earth. So right now when you're grounded in the earth, and these roots should go down into the earth about however tall you are, imagine the roots go down. So it's a perfect balance between your groundedness and all the head stuff. And you can pause this video if you want and just stay there in the earth, in the stillness and quiet. Just do that yourself if you want to pause it. But just realize that when you're grounded, it's very still, it's very quiet, it's very nourishing, and you allow the bigger thing to just mind you, be it the earth or the universe, the Tao, Buddha, God, the angels, whatever it is. When we ground ourselves, we allow something much bigger just to take care of ourselves. And we feel nourished by it. So you can pause the video and stay grounded for longer. But in order to come out of it, you can just leave your roots in the ground, but you just bring your consciousness back up through the roots. Allow yourself to just keep taking all that nourishment. Become aware of the contact point of your feet and the earth, and come back up through your legs, your knees, your upper legs slowly. Becoming aware of your hips and moving back up along through your lower back, middle back, up back, arms, shoulders, neck, throat, mouth, ears and eyes and scalp. And then just becoming fully aware of your room and the noises in your room. And then when you're ready, you can just open your eyes in your own time. And that little technique is called grounding. And so there's 3 ways to help us with our thoughts and worries. So mindfulness,